Hello, my friends. Today is not going to be the most positive video. Marketing, right? Yeah, make sure you keep watching. But I always try and share with you guys how I'm feeling and what's going on in my life, within reason, right? Um, but if you could do me a favor, leave a comment right now, pause the video, about something good going on in your life, something in the world that inspires you, something like that. That would mean a lot to me, reading comments like that. I've got some personal stuff to talk about toward the end of the video, so maybe this will become a little bit more clear, as we kind of get to that point. But I do want to talk about analytics. I try and put this out every month for you guys. I don't try and put this out, I do put this out every month for you guys and gals, which I'll talk about. I think there's something funny in the analytics to show you. As you can see, February was pretty much down across the board. Part of that is due to it being February and there being three less days in the month than January, and obviously December and stuff like that. But that doesn't account for the full amount. And there's going to be months like this. Like, I'm not, this isn't the sky's falling, the world is ending, my YouTube channel is failing or whatever. It's just it's a slow, like a dip in the road. I was gonna say a slowdown in growth, but like we still grew. We added 136 subscribers, whatever, but it's definitely a dip in the road. But I'm sure this is gonna be one of those things where 6 months from now, I'm gonna look back and be like, oh yeah, I remember when I was kind of bummed about February, and now we're blowing it up. Like that's going to happen. I'm not worried about it, but I always share this stuff with you, so I thought I'd show you, right? So this is just the overview. Great revenue month. One of the best months I think we've had, primarily because some incredible generosity that you guys have given me during some of the live streams, which I haven't done as much of. But that plus I think we had like $70 in Patreon. I guess technically that would be March. So maybe like $63 in Patreon money for February. I mean, you're impacting my life, and it means the world to me. But again, looking at this, watch time down, views down, view duration up. Although a big chunk of that 13 minutes and 9 seconds is from the live stream, so that's gonna pull it up. But across the board, right? If you look at the averages, it's still in the 9, 10, 11 minute range. So I still think that's accurate. So that's cool to see. Subs again down 60. I mean, that's from January 4th to 31st. That's not the whole month of January. Well, I'll take a look at my spreadsheet. I'll pull that up for you here in just a second. Top videos in February, we had, in terms of watch time, the first video with IK Start topped it at 8,900 minutes, 637 views. The most actual views was what if the United States had a 7-tier pro rel video, which is interesting because that's an, I don't want to say old video, but it's an older video. We're already doing the experiment where we put 7 kids in those 7 tiers. So I think that's actually pretty interesting that that's still getting a ton of views. And then we had the Jonathan Gonzalez video that came out in January. That still was, I mean, in terms of views, right? The most viewed video on the channel. Now it's a shorter video, which is why the watch time, it's 6.6% of the views, but 2% of the watch time. And that's because, there's not as much time on the video. So interesting. UK still leading 28%, United States catching up 24%, Denmark, Norway, Sweden. So we've captured the Nordic region with the journeyman. I like that. I just think this is funny because I know it's rounding error, but like we have more than 100% of people that are of a gender watching the video. I think 100.3%. Congratulations, ladies. Welcome. So I just think, I don't know, I think that's kind of funny. Let me get the chart pulled up here. For some reason, using OpenOffice, which is the spreadsheet and like essentially the Microsoft Office version, but it's open source that I use. Using that has stopped working in OBS. Like it doesn't show up on my screen, or it shows up on my screen, but it doesn't show up in OBS. So I had to take a screenshot, which is, I don't know. I think that's kind of strange, but whatever. So as you can see, down across the board, except for the watch time, and again that ties into the live stream that we did in February. That's pulled up actually our average percentage viewed to 36%. Again, if you take the live stream, there's a huge dip when you look at the live stream, because again, when you stream for 2-3 hours, you get like 8 to 10% average view, versus a video might have like 40-45%, something like that. So I'm not worried. I'm actually, I mean, to be honest, I'm quite happy that the percentage went up, even with a live stream here. But you know, we had almost 500 subs in January. Now granted, we had a big dip where something was going on where a bunch of subs got deleted, so I think that impacted it. But we added 136, so positive growth. But it's one of those things where you go like, maybe we're not gonna get to 5K this year. Maybe we'll get to 3K. You know, like we're sitting on, as I'm doing this video, it's like 2115, something like that. So like, I thank you, right? We have 2,100 subscribers. I'm not trying to complain. It's just obviously from the trend, it's a big reduction in the trend. So up 7%. I mean, we ended the month on 2061. I'm doing this on March 12th, and we're up to 2115. So that's an extra 50. So, you know, that's about the same pace. Views below 1,000 per day. A bit concerning. I mean, again, 21%. Okay, if you take 3 days off of the month of January, that's 9.6%. So it's essentially a little bit more than double that. So part of that is the month being shorter, and part of that is a reduction of views. And I figured you would see stuff like this. And I'll bring the chart up here where like you see a big spike in November and December from people that are watching FM18 because it's brand new, it just come out and all that kind of stuff. And then it kind of dips a little bit over time, because it's kind of like, well, you know, it's FM18. I'm looking forward to FM19. It's March, you know, whatever. But like that's going to happen. It could be the 2 series that I have or are a little long in the tooth now. And I don't want to try and abuse that where it's like, oh, new series every week to get people to constantly click. I don't want to do that. But I also don't want it to go so long that people get bored and check out. So that's something you kind of have to consider if you're a YouTube creator. And again, the reason I do this is to share with my community, but also to share with other folks that are trying to build their channels and build content and all that kind of stuff, to let them see what it's actually like and what's going on. So, and maybe their experience is different, right? Watch time under 9 grand. So essentially, like, we took a step back in some cases. Like, this number is pre-October. Like, the closest number is November from a views per day standpoint. Watch time is pre-December. No, okay. Watch time is pre-January, so not half bad. Likes down a bit. You know, that's October was the last time we were below this number. Lots of comments, which was interesting. So I appreciate you guys that have been, you know, having conversations on the channel. I am way behind on responding to comments. I apologize. Again, I think as I talk about the personal stuff later, I think hopefully that makes a little bit more sense. And then the subs added 4.86 per day versus, I think I told you when we did the 2018 goals, I was hoping for at least 10 per day. So that's a huge dent in our aspirations, but we can always come back. Maybe adding a new series or something like that after one of these current series, you know, wraps up. Maybe that'll help us like get some more interest. I'm trying to step my game up. I have another journeyman planned for FM18, because with the Nordic journeyman, there's only so far it can go, right? I can only visit each country, you know, 1 or 2 times or whatever, and I'm already in Norway, which is like the 13th best league in Europe. So it's not like I'm not gonna hop to like Liverpool in the Premier League, because that's not in the Nordic region. So that's not going to go on forever, but I've already got something else planned, and I'm trying to, like, every time I start a new series, I'm trying to step my game up in terms of skits and in terms of editing and stuff like that, which you guys have responded well to. Like, I did the video, if you haven't seen it, it's called like Most Epic Transfer Window with IK Start, and it took a long time, but I really enjoyed it, and I got some good feedback from you guys on that. So overall, I mean, yay, average view duration's up and average percentage viewed is up. Everything else is kind of meh, but that's okay. Like, again, like I said earlier, like, you're gonna have meh months, and it's not like we're at, you know, 78 views per day, right? Like, it's I went ahead and hid January through April here because that's when I first started the channel, and honestly, I couldn't get it to fit. You know, that was the other reason. So I you know, I'm gonna share when we have a not so great month. So it really does mean a lot when you leave likes and comments. Like, that it does mean a lot to me. Helps out the channel, gets it seen by YouTube, tells the algorithm to send more people here, you know, stuff like that. So I appreciate all the support. Let's see, I was going to show you the watch time just so you can see the big okay, there, I think that's, I'm looking for retention, sorry. So this is the average view duration. This is when we did the live stream. Like, yay, that looks good, right? You come down here, where was it? Just look for the low number. Here's one of the live streams. 9.2% is the average view duration, but the average, or the average percentage view. The average duration is 12 minutes 13 seconds, which is like, yay. But again, that's because, you know, same thing here. This is another live stream. 10% average percentage viewed, but 20 minutes watched. Like, we had a bunch of people watch that stream, and it's, I think honestly it's because I planned it and I like put out a video that said, hey, this is when this is going to be. It's scheduled and all that kind of stuff. But if you flip it over to this chart where it shows the average percentage viewed, come on, YouTube, you can do it. It's just one click. Come on. Of course it does this. There we go. Like, right? This is leading up to it. So it's 43%. Lowest is 38, probably 37. But everything is in like the 40% range, a couple 47, 48s, and then it drops you down to 20%. But again, and then this is probably some people watching part of the live stream, right? Like, because you can, it uploads it to YouTube and you can watch it later. So that pulls it down, and then it takes a little bit to recover. You know, that's I guess to be expected. So, you know, I don't know. I that's just kind of how I feel about it. But let's go back to like October. I don't want to go all the way back to January because it's going to be unreadable, the chart. The overall trend though, right? Like, this is pretty low, 1,000 watch time at a day, and then we had a huge spike, but that was kind of the low since October. And like, this is a very, I mean, it's not a very high slope, I guess is what we're thinking if you're looking to draw a slope line here, but the dips are getting higher, if that makes sense. Like, the dip here was 1,000, the dip here is 4,800. So it's, I guess from your perspective, it's like, we used to do this, and now it's kind of like, as long as your dips keep getting higher, you're on the right trajectory. And if you look at it maybe like, I don't know, weekly, maybe that helps to kind of give you an idea. I mean, this is not a full week. That's what the asterisk is there for. But like, the trend is positive. You know, could it be more positive? Could we have 1 million, you know, views a minute? You know, that'd be great. But that, you know, like, it's okay. All right. I've rambled on enough about that. So, I'm moving into the personal stuff. I got notes so I don't lose track of my brain. So February on the channel is down across the board. I don't want you guys to think like I'm giving up. I'm gonna keep pushing on. Like, we're gonna keep doing what we do. I'm doing my best to keep content consistent and entertaining. I want to, you know, like, I don't want to just be bleh when you guys watch, right? And before I get into the personal stuff, I feel obligated to say this. I'm not talking about my personal life, even just like in small detail. I believe the phrase, and this may be the wrong phrase, and you can correct me in the comments. I'm not trying to big you up on any of this. Like, I'm not trying to garner your sympathy, I guess is the word. Like, I'm not like, make sure you don't, because I don't even have donations turned on. It only happens during the live stream. So I'm not trying to, I think big you up is the right term. I'm just wanting to share where I'm at, how I'm feeling. I also don't want to go into a lot of detail. I hope you understand as we kind of walk through this. It's just, you know, I've got a lot of stress right now in my personal life. And all this stuff, like, I do have the perspective, it's all first world problems, right? My family has food. My family has clean water. My family has a warm bed to sleep in, a roof over their head that doesn't leak. You know, it's first world problems, right? But it is stuff that is weighing on me. I kind of feel like Atlas right now, you know, like the guy with the globe. I guess it was Greek mythology. He had to hold up the sky or something like that for like the rest of eternity, whatever. But it's the sculptures that I've seen are the guy holding up the globe on his back. That's kind of how I feel right now. I'm kind of that guy, and I'm holding up my family. And I think you guys know this. I'm the only income in my family. Married. I got 2 kids. Some of the stuff that we're dealing with is typical parenting stuff. I've got 2 kids under the age of 5. Sometimes they're great. Sometimes they're not, because they think they rule the universe and can't explain that to you in words, because they're learning how to speak, so I'm dealing with some of that. Sometimes they're too rough with their sister, and then they get put in timeout, and we're just in a phase, I don't know what it's called, a cycle, a phase where, if it just feels like that happens every day, and it's almost like Groundhog Day. Every time you wake up, like, okay, when is my son getting sent to his room? When is my daughter going to get upset about being put in her chair to eat every meal? But that's welcome to parenting, dude. That's all part of it. It's normal. It's gonna be fine. One day we'll look back and go like, oh, you thought that was a problem, and now they're driving. Right? But the big thing is there's some anxiety in my family, and that can make normal situations challenging, and challenging situations overwhelming. And so I'm just, again, I kind of feel like I'm Atlas, and I'm also all trying to keep my head straight, with a positive mentality, and I don't want to be that guy that yells at his kids and his family and whatever. So it's just one of those things where it's like I just feel like I got all this on my shoulders, and at the same time I'm working a full-time job and trying to produce 6, 7, 8, I don't know, 9 or 10 videos a week, and be consistent with it. Because how I feel about YouTube is, if you're consistent, your community will be consistent. If all of a sudden, you're all over the park, I'm going to put a video out every 4 days, and then the next week it's every 2 days, it's kind of like nobody knows what to really expect, versus having a consistent schedule where it's like, okay, on these days we're going to have the journeyman, and on these days we're going to have Servette, and stuff like that. So I'm just dealing with some of that. I personally really need to get into a consistent rhythm with going to bed at a designated time and getting up at a designated time. I really struggle with that, partly because I'm trying, I record after my kids are in bed. But that's something I need to personally get better at. I need to get some exercise daily. I have a Fitbit, and it might as well be called a fat bit, to indicate how much I don't exercise. So I need to do that, because I know those things are also good mentally for everybody. Things like that. So, I don't know. I just wanted to share that with you. That's what's going on in my life. So again, I don't want to put on a fake every time I'm on camera, but I also don't want you to think if I record and I'm upbeat, I'm not faking. I'm sitting down and recording stuff like this, right now, if you haven't been watching, we're Champions League with Start and going through that, that's a lot of fun. But I want to be me when I'm in front of you, and part of that, I think, is sharing with the community and about what's going on. So if for some reason my videos get inconsistent for a week or two, I hope you understand why. Maybe this is a little bit of a forewarning. Maybe I'm giving you fair warning, whatever, of that. I don't plan on that, but that's what's going on in my life. So again, if you could leave a comment about something great going on in your life, or something in the world that inspires you, leave that in the comments. It would probably brighten my day a little bit, and hopefully March is a little bit better from this perspective. But we're going to keep plugging on. We're marching towards 5K, and I really appreciate you watching. I mean, I'm 19 minutes into rambling, and a good chunk of this has been me moping. So I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time. Have a good one.